Hi friends, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm Kenzie, and today I'll be reading Reddit stories of people who believe they experience glitches in reality. This first story comes from user abandonedtruckstop. When I was a hostess at a restaurant, I sat 2 people before they even got there. I posted this story on a different subreddit, and a lot of people suggested posting it here, so here it goes. I don't know if this belongs here, but I have always wanted to share this story, as it still keeps me up at night sometimes thinking about an explanation for it. When I was in college, I worked at a sports bar/restaurant in Colorado. Before I was able to become a waitress, I had to be a hostess for a month. One Saturday, we got pretty busy because there was a local baseball game happening. I was seating people pretty frequently throughout the afternoon. Toward the end of the lunch rush, a couple came into the restaurant. I remember commenting on the woman's large turquoise necklace, telling her how pretty it was as I showed them to a table on the back patio, having some useless and polite conversation with them the whole time. I went and got them waters and brought them to the table, told them their server would be with them shortly, then returned to the host stand. About 5 minutes later, the same couple walked into the restaurant and toward the host stand. I was very confused and asked if they needed to be reseated. The lady looked at me seemingly just as confused as I was, and I noticed her large turquoise necklace again. The man said 2 please, and I instinctively grabbed 2 menus and told them to follow me, thinking someone was playing a joke on me. I turned the corner to get a view out the back patio where I sat the couple originally, and saw that the table was empty. Per the couple's request to sit outside again, I led them to the patio and noticed 2 waters and 2 menus sitting on the table already. I didn't know what to do, so I picked everything up and told them I would get them some new waters. I made my way to the bar to get waters, and the waitress from the back patio section came up and asked if I was okay. She said that 5 minutes earlier she saw me walk to the patio holding 2 menus as if I was seating people, but there was nobody there. Then I came back with waters and put them down as if I was talking to people, but the seats were still empty. She said she was on her way to come check on me because her other guests on the back porch were concerned about what I was doing talking to nobody. I asked if there were people there now, and she looked confused and said yes. So from what I can gather, I saw, talked to, and sat these 2 people before they actually came into the restaurant. I have no explanation for this, and I'm wondering if anyone else has had an experience like this. This next story comes from user LiquidGold83. I died last night, but I'm still here. So this actually happened last week. It just took me some time to come to terms with it. I got a phone call from my next-door neighbor late in the evening asking if I can help him move a mattress into his upstairs. His mom is ill and has a big, heavy sleep number bed. I, of course, ran over to help because they're great neighbors. I get over there, and his friend, who was also a priest, was there to help. I helped them figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we could fit it upstairs. We get it all moved up and back in place when my neighbor asks if I can help them move an armoire upstairs too. I think nothing of it, and we pull it out of his travel trailer and start bringing it up the front stairs of his house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps. I was on the lower end of the armoire, about 6 steps up, when my neighbor and his friend lose a handle on the armoire, and it comes crashing down on me, and I fall backwards towards the pavement. I then wake up in my dining room to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. It's my neighbor, asking me if I can help move a bed upstairs for his mom. I go over there and meet his priest friend again, as this has been the first time I met him. I say I can help with the bed, but I cannot help with the armoire. My neighbor was like, "How'd you know about the armoire?" I then proceeded to tell them I'm pretty sure I just died. I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He had so many questions. My neighbor didn't believe it until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail, down to the metal mattress frame on the floor and the intricate headboard leaning against the wall, and I had never been upstairs in their house before. The priest asked me what I saw after I died. I told him I never actually died. Before it happened, I woke up in my dining room table. This next story comes from user LegitimatePick3. I didn't exist for an entire afternoon when I was 16. I stumbled across this sub today, and I immediately thought of a story that my family and friends still talk about. This happened in 2009, when I was 16 years old. It was the first weekend of summer, and nobody was home when I woke up at around 11 a.m. I grabbed a snack and went down to the basement to watch TV. I had plans to hang out with a friend at 3 p.m. that day. Like I said before, I started watching TV at around 11, knowing I had 4 hours before I was supposed to head over to my friend's house. I had only been watching TV for about 30 minutes when my mom came down the stairs asking me where I'd been all day. I said, "What are you talking about? I've been awake for less than an hour?" I look at my watch and see that it's well past 5 in the afternoon. I run upstairs and check my phone to see that I have several missed calls from my friend and my mom. My mom's side of the story is what makes me nauseous when I think about this, even to this day. She was with my little brother at his baseball game from 1 to 3 that day. She and my brother were home when I supposedly woke up and went down to the basement, but neither of them have any memory of even seeing me that morning. When my mom got home at around 3, she checked the entire house for me, including the basement where I had been sitting on the couch watching TV. It's been 10 years and I still have no idea what happened on that day. It is by far the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me, and although I talk about it with my family like it's a funny little thing that happened, it genuinely chills me to my bones thinking about it. This last story comes from user TheCurvedWritingDesk. He thinks we both died. I'd like to preface this by saying my husband is an electrical engineer and I'm a teacher. We're not crazy people. So back when my husband and I were dating, my husband was in a terrible car crash. His truck hit black ice and he slid into oncoming traffic. His truck was completely totaled. So was the other truck he hit. The weird thing is though, both he and the other guy were completely fine. Not a scratch on them. All my husband had was a bruise on his knee. The first responders were baffled, as was the towing company insurance when they realized no one had died / was severely injured. Fast forward to a few days after the crash. My husband comes over to my apartment. We're having a huge conversation about a university class we're both in, and he casually asks when I got the flat screen TV sitting on my dresser. At this point, I'm very confused because I've had the little flat screen since I was 13 and had had it in the entire year that we'd been dating. I asked him what he's talking about, as I've always had the TV. He told me to quit pulling his leg and asked me what I did with the old tube TV. I had no idea what he was talking about and told him so. He's convinced I had a tube TV. I proceed to get on Facebook and show him a picture that we had taken 2 weeks prior with the TV in the background. It's a flat screen in the picture. My husband goes white like he's seen a ghost and just stares into space for a minute. His eyes start to water. I asked him what's wrong and he said, "I swear to God, I'm not crazy. You've had a tube TV since we started dating. It was a tube TV when we took that picture." I brushed it off as his head being rattled from the accident, and he didn't bring it up again. However, any time we hung out in my room, he'd always look at the TV weird. Fast forward 7 years, my husband and I have been married for a few years and decide that we're ready to be parents. I'm not on birth control and we decide whatever happens, happens. We're not actively trying, but not preventing it either. So we're on vacation in Italy, wandering around Rome, and I feel like shit. I had had my period the week before and it was the worst one I had had in my whole life. As we're walking around, I'm suffering from back pain, chills, and horrific cramping. I go to the bathroom in a cafe and hurl my guts out, have diarrhea, and realize I'm menstruating heavily. Obviously, I'm weirded out since I had just had my period the week before. I clean myself up and go back to my husband and tell him that I think I need a doctor. I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but this is insane. It's getting to the point I'm having trouble walking and I'm starting to feel pain in my shoulders. I don't want to ruin our vacation, but I'm starting to really worry. My husband is smarter than me, sees the state I'm in, and says I'm visibly paler than when I went into the bathroom and gets me help. 20 minutes later, I'm on a stretcher and being taken to the hospital. An hour after that, I'm being prepped for emergency surgery as the doctor tells me I have a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. I have heavy internal bleeding, and if he doesn't perform surgery, I'm going to die. 6 hours later, I wake up very sore and tired. Doctor tells me I'm very lucky, and if I had waited any longer to seek medical attention, I'd be dead. Husband stays with me in the hospital the first night, then gets a hotel for the rest of my stay. A week later, we're cleared to fly home, and I go through a grueling month of healing from the surgery. 2 months after our return, somehow my husband and I get on the topic of fires, and he goes on about the dangers of kitchen fires, and I say, "No need to worry, we're all set with the extinguisher in the closet." He looks at me like I have 3 heads and asks me what I'm talking about. I remind him about the extinguisher in the front closet where we keep the coats. We've had it for 3 years. He insisted we buy one when we bought our house. My husband shakes his head and tells me he has no idea what I'm talking about, and we don't have a fire extinguisher. I remind him about not only my memories of fighting about if we really needed one, where to put it, buying it from Home Depot, but also installing it to the wall into the closet. He looks at me with confusion and tells me none of that happened. I get up, go to the front closet to show it to him, all the while cursing him for being an asshole for forgetting our 2-week fight about it, and lo and behold, no extinguisher. Not only is there no extinguisher, there's no holes in the wall where I know we installed it, no fresh paint. This wall has never been touched. I insist he's moved it and fixed the wall and ask why the heck he would play such a stupid prank. He continues to insist that we've never had one, let alone talked about getting one. This goes on for several minutes. I'm approaching hysterics, telling him to quit playing with me when he finally says, "Now you know how I feel about that TV." We didn't speak about it for a long time. Then after I found this sub, he brought up his theory that perhaps in another timeline/dimension, whatever you want to call it, we both actually died and we reset like a video game and the TV and extinguisher are glitches. I don't know if I agree with him. All I know is that I have never been so rattled in my whole life, and every time I get something out of the closet, I'm overwhelmed with this feeling of wrongness. I know it should be there, but somehow it's just not. I can't explain it. He says he will go to his grave swearing I had a tube TV. And that's all the stories I have for today. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe so you know when I post next. Put your paranormal stories in the comments and I'll possibly read them in a video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!